At Stowford Primary School in Ivybridge, Devon, teacher and ICT coordinator Anne Burns uses video conferencing technology to link with a number of local schools.
Today, both links we had were with Manor School, which is actually a school just at the other side of Ivybridge. Hello Manor, welcome to Stowford School. Hi. First one was a guided read video conference, which is a project that's been ongoing now for a term and a half.
I've got some particular questions to ask you about the story, How to Train Your Viking. Stowford, what did you think of Hiccup at the beginning of the story as a character?
What did you think, guys, how he was portrayed?
I thought that he was a scaredy cat because he kept on saying that he was really anxious.
That's a fantastic answer. Would you like to talk to us about what Hiccup was like come the end of the story? We'll start with Lauren.
He was quite brave at the end.
Anyone at Stowford, do you agree with that?
Yeah. What I like about video conferencing is that you get to see new people, and it's interesting because sometimes if you're reading a non-fiction book, you get to learn new things. And if you didn't spot something and someone else did, they will say it and then you eventually spot it.
Up until now, it's been very much up to us to go and find someone to video conference with. But what we are trying to do is improve communications so that people can actually say, I'm a Year 2 teacher, I want to video conference, who would like to video conference with me? There are links out there which will point you in the right direction of going and finding international links. There's an awful lot of places like the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra and Space Centre that actually will do video conference links with schools.
For the second video conference, Anne has invited local newspaper reporter Claire Acton to speak to the students.
I started a school newspaper with the Year 6 group. I thought it'd be interesting for them to know what happens when you scale it up to a local paper. And she agreed not only to talk to our children, but talk to Manor's children who don't have their own paper, and maybe inspire them to go and write a paper of their own.
I write the stories, I send them into the editorial department, they put them on the page, and this is how it looks like. You'll see there's great big gaps all over the place. That's where the adverts go.
Are there ever any times where you don't enjoy your job?
There are occasional times when I don't enjoy my job, and it's usually when I have to write about something that's sad. And it's not nice. But unfortunately, because of our job, it's what we've got to do.
Have we got anybody else at Manor?
Do you get a say of where all your pictures go?
I don't, actually, to be honest. What happens is I spend ages in front of the computer typing up the stories, and then I have to send it all to our sub-editors who put it on the page, and they'll choose the pictures.
I think if we want to make it a really valuable tool, then what we've got to do is get teachers using it as part of the curriculum and see it as part where they can plan it in. And it doesn't have to be an hour-long conference or even half an hour, but it is about making children aware of how other children live and what other children experience and go through, which can only help prepare them for when they go out into the wider world, or possibly even just move on to their secondary school education, which may be much bigger than they used to.
At Hailsham Community College in East Sussex, teacher and ICT coordinator Luke Gander is using video in a Year 7 PE class.
They're very much used to peer assessment and becoming a coach as well as a performer, and so they're quite happy to look at each other's techniques and verbalise what they need to do to improve.
The technique we're going to look at today is the layup technique from basketball.
I'm looking to use YouTube clips to begin with to give the students an idea of the skill we're going to learn, how it can be used in context of the sport, and hopefully to motivate them so they see their professional performers doing it and thinking one day if I work for this lesson I can get to there.
So Joe, why do you want to be attacking and driving at the hoop rather than just doing a set shot like you've done in other lessons?
It'll be more accurate because you're like right next to it.
I bounce it a couple of times. Okay, you're going to go up.
When I get out into the sports hall, like a few of the students are going to put on heart rate monitors so we can trace their heart rates from beginning at rest all through the warm-up activities, and then see how it's influenced by the different activities and exercises that we do and relate that back to their body systems.
Okay. So to begin with, guys, we're going to look at the heart rate traces you've got here, and we'll produce a graph of some of them in response to your warm-ups.
So it means we can go at any point, stop the lesson, bring the group in and have a look at their heart rate there and then. Once we've got, say, a trace of a heart rate or a video, it can then be taken into another lesson, and they actually use the heart rate traces they did in the PE lesson, was put on the board in their science lesson, and then they were taught all about the systems and why they need oxygen and why, much more in detail than we can cover in a practical lesson. When we start moving on to the actual skills practice, I'm going to use the ICT equipment, the camera analysis software, and that allows us to replay things straight away, so we can put a 9-second delay on it. That's what we had today. So the students were shooting their basketball layup and they had time to come back and look at the computer screen and watch their performance that they've just done.
Is that better, Joe? Did you get your right knee that time? Yeah. So your right knee's gone up and you've pushed off at the very top, so that's much better.
The flip camera that we're using, which is a separate camera, it's almost like a mobile phone technology.
So to improve his performance, he could take off from his inside foot. So if you write that down.
We're going to upload the MP4 video onto our school's VLE, and the kids will go on, log on and evaluate that student's performance and leave their own comment on what level they're working at and how they can improve. Kids just love having their voice heard, so they really like the interaction with their peers, but also when the teacher writes back and feeds back on their work. A lot of the staff will quite happily take on new technologies and give it a go once they've been shown something. I think the key thing to getting all staff using it is to have a small project that is successful, that you can show everyone else. It just took me this long, this is the results I've got, and it's worth investing the time.